Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is May the 14th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy hump day to ya. Hopefully Wednesday treated you well. Hopefully you humped and didn't get humped, unless it's what you're into. My day was very good. I mean, all things considered type of shit, right? No, it was good. I will say I started off a little frazzled. I was, waking up, getting myself ready to go. It was almost time to, pack up and leave. And I go, hey, I got to go pick up my charger from the charging station. Wait. And I realized that I didn't have my charge kit charged. It was just in the car, like almost dead. And that is very important to me because that charging pack keeps my whole day in motion. If I don't have that, my day just goes to shit by, I want to say 12 o'clock, because then my phone is about to die. I can't listen to podcasts, can't listen to music. I'm just not in a good place if I can't do that. So, and then, it cascades into the gym. I don't have my phone, so I'm gonna have to go home to charge it's just a mess. It's just a mess. So I was kind of freaking out. There was like a nanosecond of like, I should call off. I don't have what I need. I'm not gonna go. And I was like, Isaiah, we're going to work. We've handled this before. It's not an issue. And if it is, it's fine. We'll make it through. So, I proceed to go to work, and luckily, in near the area where I work, there is a place where I can charge my charge pack, and I know it takes all night to fully charge it. But my hope is like, hey, give it a couple hours, before you go to your first or second break, and you should have enough juice to kind of get through. So more or less, that's what we did. We got through. We were fine. So, the charging pack held, so therefore the day held. Also, a bit of snack corner. We got some popcorn, a little work treat for free. So I had a bag of that. That was nice. Gym was also nice. We had a good session. Busy enough to slightly annoy me, but not be overwhelming. So I'll take that for a Wednesday. I was gonna do like a lighter weight than I wanted, like that I expected to do, like 35s, and someone was just using them, and I was like, okay, fine. I'm happy just to get a bench. So I said I'm not bumping them down. I've been doing 30s, Monday, Tuesday. So I really want to like raise the weight. I don't want to lower it. And so we went up to 40, which is fine, cool, love that. No problem, no hassle. And yeah, it just overall felt like a smooth workout, which, I felt like I needed that. Post working out, we're back home and now we're yapping. We're podcasting. Here we are. So yeah, that's been the day. It's been good. Let's see here. Do I have anything else to blog about? Anything else to yap about in the personal news section? No, I think we're good. I think we're solid. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Okie dokie. From the BBC, Israeli strikes across Gaza kill 80. Hospitals and rescuers say. At least 80 people have been killed in Israeli strikes across Gaza. Hospitals and first responders say. The Indonesian hospital said 22 children and 15 women were among 50 people who died when several homes in northern Jabalia area were hit overnight. Nearby Al-Wada Hospital said it had received the bodies of another 9 people, 7 of them children. The Israeli military said it struck Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, or the PIJ, fighters in the north It had warned residents of Jabalia and neighboring areas to evacuate on Tuesday after rockets were launched into Israel. I believe there were maybe like 2 rockets. They were not effective. But essentially the response was, yeah, we're going to blow your shit up. It came as the UN's humanitarian chief urged members of the UN Security Council to take action to prevent genocide in Gaza. Now we're going to scroll ahead a bit here. Actually, I think we're going to just go to the end of this article because it's kind of a bit of a second part. On Tuesday, a massive Israeli airstrike on the European hospital's compound in Khan Yunis killed at least 28 people, according to local officials. The Israeli military described it as a precise strike on Hamas terrorists who are operating in command and control centers underneath the hospital, which is a line they've rolled out before, essentially saying they're using civilians as a human shield. In fact, we can't even differentiate who's a civilian, who's Hamas. So we're just going to kill them all. We just don't care. We're not really going to bother. We'll sort that out after, maybe. And they're doing all this to get the new leader of Hamas, Mohammed Sinwar, which was the brother of Yahya Sinwar, who died last year in October. Now, this is something that they're saying that, like, hey, I think they're saying that they successfully got him, and Hamas is saying we're not confirming or denying that. So, jury's still out there. But either way, even if this person was here or not, even if there is any Hamas members in here, what you are doing is a war crime to try to get your targets. Like, it doesn't justify this. It's also not the first time. This is happening again and again and again, over and over and over again. Also, I want to say a bit of a correction with the Eden Alexander release. There really was no certified trade or even a real agreement. It seems, from what I'm learning, that essentially it was a goodwill gesture by Hamas to America. They did some business, and according to the Trump administration is yeah, we will make sure that you get aid. But, I mean, so far that conversation is, well, we'll work with Israel to put in privatized aid, which everyone is saying is a bad idea. This is they're going to be at the behest of Israel or America, both of which have kind of proven that they don't really give a fucking shit. So that just doesn't bode well for the people who are starving currently. And if they're not worrying about that, then they're worrying about getting fucking bombed or drone struck or some shit by the IDF. So, I wanted to just start off with this touch here. Let's go ahead and move on though, to ICE. We gotta talk about some ICE shit, some cold-blooded fucking shit. From USA Today. Trump official acknowledges 9 detainee deaths in ICE custody. Disputes over spending. Democratic lawmakers clashed with the head of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, over funding deaths while in federal custody and information the agency shares with the public while the pursuit of one of President Donald Trump's most high-profile second-term priorities. Representative Lauren Underwood of Illinois, the top Democrat on the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security, accused the agency May 14th of spending funds it doesn't have while still falling short of unrealistic deportation goals. Congress has approved funding for 4,500 detention beds, but ICE is detaining 52,000 people, which could lead the agency to running out of money within 2 months. Underwood called the goal of removing 1 million people per year an incredibly risky strategy that sets you up for failure. The administration is cashing checks it does not have to reach questionable goals it cannot meet, Underwood said. Todd Lyons, ICE acting director, essentially said, nah, boo-boo, stick your head in doo-doo. He's just no, we'll find a way to make this work. We're not running out of money. Which is bullshit. I mean, like, you can say you're not running out of money, but really the only way you're going to get more is if what? The Trump administration finds a way to force Congress to give you more, right? Like, it's the only way you're going to get that to work, which it could fucking happen. You know, I'm not saying it's out of the realm of reason, unfortunately. That is the grim reality that we are fucking living in. But it's not on the table as of right now, and you're acting like you have all the means. So that was kind of the first part I wanted to touch on. The second part was a story that I didn't cover. I missed more or less last week. A scuffle outside an ICE... Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. My bad. A scuffle outside an ICE detention center in New Jersey on May 9th led to the arrest of Newark Mayor Ras Baraka on a misdemeanor charge of trespassing. His arrest came as 3 House lawmakers, New Jersey Democratic Representatives Bonnie Watson Coleman, LaMonica McIver, and Rob Menendez, made an unannounced visit to inspect the privately run center called Delaney Hall. Interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba earlier said in social media post that Baraka trespassed and ignored multiple warnings from Homeland Security investigations to remove himself. Now, I was going to cover this, and then he was like let out, and I was just like, there's other stories that I kind of want to cover, so I'm not hitting this. But one thing I did want to mention, that's why I stopped to add on this part, was the Alina Habba mention, because I was curious where she was going to shake out in this whole thing. So I guess now she is a interim U.S. attorney. So AKA she could have had Bondi spot. Like, she could have been top dog, you know, and she chose to be like, nah, I want something, I guess, a little less high profile, but still more power. So yeah, good for her. Good for her and her cool gaming laptop. I'm sure she's getting a lot of justice done on that thing. Anyway, I wanted to mention that because it was a story, like I said, I kind of missed. But this was the thing that I kind of hate is buried, kind of 2 acts deep, so to speak. But 9 deaths in ICE custody. Congress has required ICE to publicly post information since 2018 when detainees die in custody. But Underwood and Representative Veronica Escobar, Democrat of Texas, each asked how many detainees had died since the Trump administration took office on January 20th because the public postings were delayed 90 days. Escobar called overcrowding and treatment in detention centers tantamount to human rights abuses. What we've seen under the Trump administration should send chills down the spine of every American, Escobar said. 9 detainees died in custody, Lyons said. He pledged to post information about the deaths publicly on the agency's website. We do conduct a thorough investigation of all those, Lyons said. And it's almost like they just don't really fucking care. Like, it's just such an afterthought. And I feel like that is always why they're trying to tout this story of everyone they are detaining and they are putting in these detention centers, that they are the worst of the worst, the most deplorable fucking people, the meanest, surliest criminals you ever did see. And it's like, we've already kind of seen and covered that that's just not the case, that they are grasping at straws in a lot of these cases, and it's just impossible. These are all the worst ne'er-do-wells ever this side of the border. Like, bullshit, dude. You're just vacuuming up people as much as you can, and you're shoving them into these detention centers where God knows just the worst fucking shit happens. And I know that, like, just our memory tension spans on this shit is just so short-lived. And it's, you know, it's not long. It goes in one ear and out the other over time very quickly. And I mean, I get it. But I remember just bits and pieces of the first term when ICE was really ramping up even more, where it's just like, and then not even just then, it also continued during the Biden administration. It didn't stop. It's not like, oh, and everything was good when the old man got in. No, like, just constant fucking problems, constant fucking, like, you know, once again, atrocities just happening, just civil rights just being eviscerated, just people having to go through the worst traumatizing fucking shit, and people losing their lives. Like, this is fucked, and it's going to continue to just keep happening. And, you know, essentially, you know, all the Democrats are going to do is argue over the budget and hopefully do little zingers and one-liners. But yeah, I mean, kind of going back up to the top of the thought, with the Trump administration just being able to like wave a wand or just tell Congress, it's like, this is how high we need you to jump, so jump, and they'll do it. Like, it really just makes us feel like, yeah, there's just an open fucking check here, and maybe Todd Lyons is right. Well, you don't have to worry about that. We're gonna get what we want to get done, even though it's proven they are not gonna reach these numbers. That's a fact. They always fucking want to have these high numbers that they say they hit, and they'll just settle for a fucking gruesomely high number that they do hit, but it's not the goal that they set to make. And of course, the base are going to feel happy. They're going to feel like, yeah, no, I do feel safer. You know, even though nothing's really changed in my life. In fact, things have only gotten worse. But like, I feel so much safer. Because, you know, those brown people who speak a different language than me, you know, I just don't see as many of them, maybe. So that makes me feel good. I guess. Like, I really don't know how people square the shit in their heads and their hearts. But they find a way to sleep like fucking babies. I don't doubt that. Anyway, let's move on to our next story. Next story is a doozy. Last week, week prior, we were doing a lot of Catholic talk. New Pope, old Pope gone, new Pope in, so we had to focus on that, right? But I wanted to get to, another type of faith, Christian faith, whatever. But, similar ballpark, not the same. But we got to talk about some foul shit that happened in this church in New Jersey. We're back into Jersey talk. Anyway, from the Miami Herald, no less. Pastor abuses, impregnates New Jersey church member, tells her to get an abortion, feds say. Now, this is one we're just going to read out because the devil is in the details here for sure. The self-proclaimed pastor of a New Jersey church, which he founded with his wife, spread fear among members through religious rhetoric and forced them into unpaid labor, including one woman he repeatedly physically and sexually abused, federal prosecutors said. Treva Edwards, 60 years old, impregnated the woman he sexually assaulted inside his church over a span of 7 years. Then he told her to get an abortion, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey. He and his wife, Christine Edwards, 63, who also described herself as a pastor, ran their church. Jesus is Lord by the Holy Ghost out of an apartment building in Orange, where they lured people into becoming members as part of a forced labor scheme between 2011 and 2020, according to prosecutors. I feel like the more we're going to read through this, the more you're going to feel like, what kind of church is this? How are you getting followers? And like the answer is like, I mean, how do you start a cult, right? Like it's the same thing. It just, it's good marketing, I guess. It worked, sadly. Because how are you going to someone's apartment and it's like, yeah, we're a grassroots church. Like, I mean, look, I know how that is how some churches start, in someone's little, our little home, our quaint little home, our little abode, a little apartment. And then like you start renting out, schools or whatever. Look, dude, get it how you can. But like this feels not on the level. Suspicious. Individuals facing hardship in their lives were targeted by the Edwardses. Also, no relation, by the way, who preached that they would lose favor with God if they did not perform labor, prosecutors said. I keep wanting to say Trevor, but it's Treva. Treva and Christine Edwards deprived church members of sleep, meals, and had them perform work related to residential and commercial property maintenance in Orange area, according to an indictment against the couple. Trevor Edwards, who declared himself a prophet and his wife told church members it was God's will for them to work, according to prosecutors. Trevor Edwards is accused of threatening violence and punishments if they disobeyed him. Now he's been indicted on charges of sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, forced labor, and conspiracy to commit forced labor, the U.S. Attorney's Office said in a May 10th news release. Christine Edwards is also charged with a conspiracy to commit forced labor. We will not comment on this ongoing litigation at this time, Treva Edwards' federal public defender, Michael Alexander Thomas, said in a statement to McClathy News on May 13th. Christine Edwards' defense attorney, F.R. Chip Dunny, the third, what a name, told McClatchy News that she categorically denies the allegations and said the charges are unfounded. She has spent her, she has spent her professional life working to uplift others, acting with integrity, compassion, and dedication to her community, Dunny said in an emailed statement on May 13th. For years, according to prosecutors, Trevor Edwards used fear and religious rhetoric to manipulate his church members to control every aspect of their lives and compel them to perform unpaid labor. He and his wife obtained contracts for labor, then made church members carry out a variety of property-related services according to the filing. The contracts were secured by Christine Edwards through a property management company she worked for, prosecutors said. Church members were forced to gut and clean properties, remove bulk trash, clean sewage, move furniture, handle rodent infestations, and shovel snow, the indictment says. Despite their work, they were never paid, according to prosecutors, who said the Edwardses kept the money they earned. Trevor Edwards controlled members through verbally and emotionally abusive behavior, threats of reputational harm, homelessness, hunger, spiritual retribution, punishments, and more hard labor, according to the prosecutors. And you got to remember, like, I'm sure a lot of these people came in at their worst moments, and they're getting started once again in someone's apartment, and it's just going and going and going. They want to keep this up. Like, they're invested. They have that sunken cost of like, no, like if I, and not to mention it's not just a sunken cost. There's a spiritual thing that that's at play for you, right? If you're one of these members of this church, and you're like, yeah, not only will I be like actually destitute, I'll be out on the streets, I'll be spiritually barren. Like I won't have anything. I won't be tethered to anyone like that. As a person who's gone through some shit similar to that, like it hurts. It is a strong tether that can keep you in play because you don't want to lose this group. You know what I mean? And sure, it sounds like they have maybe a small congregation, but like you care about those members. You think these people care about you. You think the people who are up top here, the Edwardses, you think they have your best interests at heart, and you're really trying to probably see it their way, even though their way is just a grift on you. You know what I mean? It's just using you for labor, free labor, and they're making all the profit. So, it's a sticky fucking wicket you can see these people in. And I'm sure for the average listener or person, reader, whoever, who stumbles upon this story, you're like, why would you stick around for this? But once again, like, the people who did stick around for this were people who probably felt like they had nowhere else to go. And then once they committed, they're like, this is everything to me. If I lose this, then I might as well die and go to hell or something. You know what I mean? So that's what's on the line for these people. I feel like it's definitely worth stopping and mentioning that. They were required to work late hours, pray late into the evening, and wake up early to worship during church sermons that went on for hours. Prosecutors wrote in the indictment. After working, Treva and Christine Edwards would allow members to have their first and only meal of the day, according to the filing. Treva Edwards preached to the women he regularly sexually abused and to others that they had to give up 5 aspects of life if they intended to go to heaven, according to the filing. He told them they had to abstain from the 5 loves: food, sleep, sex, money, and pleasure, prosecutors said. Trevor Edwards also discouraged them from getting medical care, telling them God would heal members who were in good standing with him as their pastor. Prosecutors wrote in the indictment. In late 2019, Treva and Christine Edwards held a struggle session with all church members to prevent the woman he impregnated from leaving the congregation, according to the filing. And to me, right here, right now, I don't care how down bad you are. This is where the record should skip, right? When you're sitting down for service, well, I don't know if it's still in the fucking apartment or not. I'm imagining so. And one of the members has been now sexually assaulted. You know this. And they're like, yeah, she's trying to leave. We can't let that happen. We have to have a struggle session. Keep her here. Fix this. No, we don't. We need to stop. This needs to stop. Like, we're no longer doing some wooey shit. We're no longer just wasting our own individual time here. Like, once you see something like this, in my mind, you know Like this is not just criminal. We're talking morally bankrupt, evil shit. Like what are we doing? Like I don't care how highly I regarded this person up to this point. You know now this is a bad guy. And why is his wife here telling you also, let's make sure she doesn't leave. Like we gotta fix this. We gotta fix her. Like what? Yo, no, that's so off the rails. In a statement, Ricky J. Patel, the special agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations, Newark Division, said Treva and Christine Edwards turned a source of hope into a tool of fear by allegedly exploiting religious faith to manipulate victims and expose them to sexual violence and forced labor conditions. Christine Edwards, according to her defense attorney, plans to argue against the government's accusations. She asked for privacy for herself and her family during this difficult time as she focuses on defending her good name, Dunny told McClatchy News. They both would face up to 20 years in prison if they're each convicted of conspiracy charges, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Just more of their, sentences and stuff like this. If I get more details on this story, I definitely want to come back to it. Y'all know I'm a sucker for a cult. A fucking Christian cult. It's giving true crime. True crime is always back. When is it true crime? When? True crime now. So y'all know I'm a sucker for this, even though yes, it's fucked up, but like it's fascinating. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm a sucker for crazy stories. What can I say? And I don't know. This hits a certain kind of close to home to me. Anyway. So yeah, we will leave this story here. Let's pick up another one though. Actually, let me take a water break. I'm thirsty. Okay. Next one is from NBC News, but let me chug a lug. Harvard scientist facing deportation is charged with smuggling. I'm totally gonna. I should have Googled this name. Ksenia Petrova, a Russian-born Harvard scientist, has been charged with smuggling biological material into the United States, an escalation in a case that has already raised legal and civil rights questions over her detention. Federal prosecutors allege that Petrova, 30, violated U.S. customs law by failing to declare preserved frog embryos in her luggage when she arrived at a Boston Logan International Airport on February 16th from Paris. She now faces a charge of smuggling goods into the United States. According to a criminal complaint filed under seal this week and made public on Wednesday, a CBP canine alerted officers to Petrova's duffel bag, which was later searched. Officers found clawed frog embryos, paraffin slides, and other samples. When first questioned, Petrova denied carrying any biological material, the affidavit says. After being shown a message from her phone advising her to make sure you get the permission, etc., like that link I sent to Leon/the group chat about the frog embryos because TSA went through my bags at customs in Boston. She acknowledged the samples. Asked whether she knew they had to be declared, she responded that she was not sure. Now, this is important because this is what they're saying happened. Petrova has another explanation about what she says happened. It's a tad different. But Petrova described I guess we're about to get into it. They asked if I had any biological samples in my luggage. I said yes. So she says, no, I didn't lie. I immediately told them. Which, I don't know, maybe not. It might be a little sussy. She previously told NBC News from detention in Louisiana. She described confusion over the customs procedures and a lengthy interrogation by the Customs and Border Protection officers. I don't know why they abbreviated it earlier and then used the whole thing now, but hey, so it goes. Nobody's perfect. Nobody knew what was happening to me. I didn't have any contact, not to my lawyer, not to Leon, not to anybody, she said, referring to Dr. Leon Peshkin, a principal research scientist at Harvard's Department of Systems Biology and her manager and mentor. And the next day, they didn't say what would happen. I was waiting in a cell. The document notes that Petrova told Customs and Border Patrol officers that she had protested against the Russian Federation and expressed fear about returning. She asked to go to France, where she held a valid Schengen, sure, we're going to say Schengen visa, but was instead later taken to ICE custody, where she remains detained at Richwood Correctional Center in Monroe, Louisiana. During a habeas hearing Tuesday in Vermont, federal court U.S. District Judge Christina Reese questioned the legality of the government's actions. Where does a Customs and Border Patrol officer have the authority on his or her own to revoke a visa? She asked. I don't see anything about a customs violation. So yeah, I think this is where it gets muddy, because it's like, okay, you guys got her on doing something wrong, like, okay, but like, why do you have her like in a fucking ICE detention center, ready to send her to Russia, a place that she just shouldn't be going, even though it is her home? Like, why are you doing this? And it's well, it's because it's kind of our administration's policy. So this is a deplorable now, so we might as well just kick her out. Like, I feel like it's already become like this reflexive nature, and it really is coming down to these judges to be like, yeah, no, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you can't do this. Like, maybe it feels good to you, and like, that's fine. Or, it feels good to your higher ups, but that's not how this is going to go. It's not how this goes. It's not how any of this works. So, definitely a bit of a froggy situation, if you will, for Petrova. But yeah, we'll see how this shakes out. Definitely, like, when I first read this, I interpreted it backwards. Like, this was a Harvard scientist that was getting arrested in Russia, and I was like, oh no, oops, we're Russia here. We're moving like that. That's us. Oopsie daisy. It's so easy to confuse them these days. Anyway, let's move on to our last story. It's getting pretty classic for me to kind of end with some recalls. So it goes. So yeah, I got another one down the pipe. But let's go ahead and take our last break, and we will close it out. Ooh. Ooh. Mm. Oh boy. All right, our last story comes from Local 12. Oh, maybe not. Okay, here we go. All right. Multiple flavors of yogurt products sold in stores across the country recalled. Multiple flavors of yogurt products sold in retailers nationwide were recalled due to the inclusion of an ingredient that was not declared in the packaging. According to the recall issued by the Food and Drug Administration, Nacro Incorporated announced on May 12th that multiple flavors of its Bonya branded yogurt parfaits would be recalled due to the undeclared presence of almonds in the granola component of the product. People who have an allergy or severe sensitivity to almonds risk serious or life-threatening allergic reactions if they consume these products, the recall said. Now, we don't have a specific like brand code or like, hey, it's this one. It's just kind of vague. But if you purchased any of the parfaits, the Bonya branded parfaits, go ahead and get your refund. Go ahead and throw that out, whatever. Just be careful, be aware if you have like some kind of like nut allergy type of thing, I'm not going to lie though. This didn't get me thinking like, yogurt does sound pretty good. I've been eating a lot of granola lately. So like lately, the newest granola I got, I've been eating this kind stuff, right? And it's pretty good. It's all right, I like it. I think I'm on my third type. I'm not trying to try them all here. This isn't like the Red Bulls. But right now we're on these almond butter cluster granola things. Oh, it's taking everything in me not to just eat them all up, because it reminds me of like almost like honey bunches of oats, but when they just did just the bunches. Some of my cereal choices are kind of crazy. I'm either a big kid or I'm an elderly person. Like, I just like Raisin Bran Crunch, and I like Honey Bunches of Oats. I like shredded wheat. No Special K though. I don't know. How are we getting on cereal? I'm sorry. I'm over here in the weeds talking about my own bullshit. But yeah, no, I kind of want some yogurt. Anyway, hopefully you didn't buy any of this yogurt, and if you did, hopefully you don't have an almonds allergy, because that would be a bummer. Almonds are yummy. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there for our recall of the day. Well, not of the day. Hopefully we're not getting to a point where I'm doing a recall every single day. Though who knows? FDA, technically they struggling right now just because of the situation with Health and Human Services. You got RFK Jr. saying, "Hey, look, I want less money for my department. I want less money because we just don't need it. Fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? We're cutting so many jobs, we just don't need it." And it's like, hey, what about these inspections? What about all this shit? Like, things are getting left by the wayside. Important things that like Congress wants done. That's why you're here right now telling us your story, RFK Jr. What's going on? He's like, yeah, we don't need it. It's crazy time in a crazy world, no? Anyway, that is where I want to leave it for today. That's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you're listening on. Leave a like. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring if you'd like to do that. But really, I just appreciate you listening. I think that's pretty cool. So hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.